What if the idea of being enough was possibly not settling, but finally telling the truth and feeling seen and telling the truth about what success really means and what you're willing to do for it? And I am so excited about this series that we are doing on the Joyosity podcast. And today, that will be part of our topic. But this mini series in general about the Joyosity concept is that leadership doesn't usually fall apart in these big moments. It's quiet erosion. It's under the pressure, the expectations, and some unspoken beliefs that you're supposed to have it all together and be a certain way. And that is where joy leaves. And it's the most misunderstood in our leadership and in our businesses and even in our communities. And at the Joyosity podcast, I am welcoming in experts and fellow leaders to through this series to talk about not just joyosity in theory, but what does it look like lived out in all of these different types of experiences? Because joy isn't just optimism and pretending everything's okay. It's absolutely not toxic positivity. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's really a practice. And that where we practice joy, when pressure is real and stress is intense and the stakes are high and pushing through just doesn't work. And so in this season, I am, as always, your host, Jenn Whitmer, a keynote speaker, leadership consultant, author, all-around joy bringer. And we are bringing in real leaders with real experience and real tension and real moments where staying and celebrating our humanity, staying human and celebrating our humanity is really the leadership power. And so today's conversation with Heather Campbell is really one that I have been so looking forward to. A lot is because Heather's brilliance. She's an author. She does all kinds of things. But what she does that I think is so powerful is that she names something that high achieving leaders really don't always, they feel it, but they don't always say it out loud. And she has this gift for blending humor and honesty and deep wisdom around this concept of being enough. And we were chatting before, and we have very similar goals to inspire and entertain. We like the laughter of all of those things. And but in her concept of enoughness, in all of the fun and humor of it, is that we don't have to give up ambition or excellence to be enough. So this is one of those conversations that I hope starts to loosen your grip a little bit of just make it through, just push through, because Heather has got a different way for us, a different way forward. So without further ado, let's welcome Heather Campbell. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. So you're so smart not to have me on camera while you were doing that intro, because I would have been highly distracted for people. Because I was literally like, my body was rocking as you were describing what you do, what I do. Yes. Yes,
and amen. I'm so happy. Well, I'm so happy that you were here. And just, I want people to know a little bit about who you are. Can you just tell us a little bit about your story, how you got to this point? How did you become who you are today, I guess, in some ways, doing the work that you do?
Yeah. So many stories. So
Always.
many. And that's actually what my book was. My book is just stories. It's just small stories. This is, college, this time. I've had some really weird, wonderful experiences and jobs. I've been in charge of synergy. I was literally the synergist. That was on my business card at ESPN. I've been in charge of alchemy. Alchemist was my title at another, these are corporate jobs. This is not, woo-woo jobs. I've helped create a school in New York City. I've had all of these wonderful, weird author, speaker, and someone recently just said, what? How? The through line within all of this is I am here on this earth to help make people feel seen, heard, and celebrated.
Mm,
That's
so good.
that's it. And no matter what the title has been, and what they thought the job actually was, that is what I was doing. I'm inviting you in. It's always an invitation. Do you want to come play? Do you want to come? Come play.
Mhm.
This is a priority of this company. Oh, here, you're a priority in your life. Come play. Come
Yeah,
play with me. It's going to be hard at times. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's
of
going to be
course.
hard.
Nothing worth doing isn't hard at some point.
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. But again, back to joyosity. It can also be joyous.
Absolutely. Mhm.
It can be wonderful. I once was presenting to the most senior folks at ESPN, big presentation, and I played a game called Who Are the No, yeah, Who Are the Assets in Your Neighborhood? That was the game I'm playing, like the president, the SVPs, the EVPs. Who are the assets in your neighborhood? And I'm sharing basically all of the different groups who have been doing things with me at ESPN. I was in charge of Synergy, Disney. We wanted to get them to work with us. So I do this, and at one point, a man, John Walsh, who is a god in publishing and media, says, how? Why? How did you get them to do this with you? Do they just like you or something? And I said, yes. I I learn their language and then I speak it with them. I listen to what's important to them and I recognize it. I I'm fun to work with. And not everything was fun. I had to give some some hard results sometimes. But yeah, they played with me because I asked them to play with me,
Mhm.
and that is what I do.
Mm.
I have done it, again, now I'm doing it with my book, Good is Amazing, and wow, am I having fun with inviting people to play. I was recently doing a You Are Amazing party. That's what I do instead of book events.
Uh-huh.
Um, invite people in, and I'm at this You Are Amazing party which is at an open space. So there are people, doing their own thing, having dinner somewhere else. And during my talk, one person comes. They've been again sitting in a different area. They come around me, around my table, throw $20 on my table, grab one of my books, and say, "Is that enough? Because I need to read this. Come
I
play."
love it so much.
Yeah,
Well, there's
yeah,
so much power, I think, in invitation and permission giving. Like,
yes,
not because we feel the need to have permission from other people. I think we eventually realize we don't. But
right.
until we have that revelation, there's so much power in the invitation and the permission giving because it's a freedom
Yeah,
of oh my gosh, like, so we have 4 kids. 2 of them currently live at home, the bookends. The oldest and the youngest are currently at home, and they will it readily admit that neither one of them love being told what to do. Not that anybody loves it, but they
right,
particularly get stubborn. And so one of the things is the dishwasher. Of course, it's the kitchen, it's the dishwasher,
right,
and or their room or something like that. And they have both expressed very clearly, they're like, I was going to do it anyway, but then as soon as you told me I had to do it, now I don't want to. Which I
right.
think is a very human reaction.
Yes,
But there
yes,
is a difference between, hey, I need you to get this done and it has to be done right now, which is sometimes appropriate. I'm not saying that's not
right,
appropriate, especially as a parent.
right.
But there's a different invitation to, I would like to invite you into
Yes,
something that we're
yes,
all doing together. And you
yes,
have the permission to say yes or no. Like,
yes.
there's just so much power in that.
At another one of the You Are Amazing. I've been having these things all over the United States. It's been
Mm,
fascinating. But at another one, someone said, "Is your book a self-help book?"
mm,
And I said, "No,
mm.
unless you want it to be. It's an invitation. It's here to entertain you. It's here to make you." I don't want to get into you shoulds. This is not a you shoulds book. This is a,
Mhm.
huh, what do you think? How
Yeah.
do you feel?
I think that's why I feel so connected to you, even though this is literally the first time we have had a whole conversation. Like we've met
Right,
online and had
right.
email back and forth. But the first chapter in my book, or the first section of the book that most people call the introduction or the author's note, I called your printed invitation,
Mm-hmm.
because this is an invitation. And I just think there's so much room to experiment in an
Yeah,
invitation.
correct.
And it's just really powerful for people.
Yeah.
Uh, so I want to ask you, I'm going to switch, like pivot us just a little
Sure.
bit. But I think that sets us up really well, that we are inviting you all who are listening, you are listening into this, that you have worked, and you've said a couple of them. I mean, ESPN is not known for being a lackadaisical space.
Right.
You've worked in like really achievement driven
Yes.
systems for decades.
Yes.
When did you start to shift? When does the moment that you realized that that high striving had really started to erode and maybe quietly turn against you?
Yeah. So honestly, I've been there's another fabulous book. We're going to talk about lots of books. Everyone get a pen and paper to write down great. Um, do I have it? Yes, right here. Orbiting the Giant Hairball.
I have
Um,
not heard of that.
oh, great, great, great book. Talks about how organizations become giant hairballs. That happens for a reason, in order to achieve, in order to make the stock price go up, in order to, meet the goals that you say you're going to do. You need rules and regulations. The challenge with that is it ultimately becomes a giant hairball.
Mm,
If
indeed.
you're trying to affect change or move things forward, it's very difficult to do it inside the hairball because you're in a hairball.
Mhm.
I recognized this eons before Kevin Carroll introduced me to this book. I orbit the hairballs all the time.
Mm,
I don't know why. Maybe it's, again, first chapter in my book is the story of my mother asking me to be president of the United States and meaning, and my epiphany truly of, oh yeah, that's not going to serve me. That's not what I
mm,
want to do. Um, in that moment, I realized, no, happy and healthy are my goals. Can I be
mhm,
happy and healthy the way I want to be as president of the United States? No,
mhm,
no. Um, so I've actually orbited pretty much all the time. Sometimes it serves me, sometimes it doesn't.
mhm,
Um, I remember actually my interview for my job at ESPN. The person wonderfully said, what's your ideal job? And I said, my ideal job is one where I believe in the product or service that
mhm,
we're selling. I have a champion behind me. Um, Someplace I have management. Like I want to own stuff. I want to
mhm,
drive things forward, and I need to be able to go home and do things that are not about work. I know I'm supposed to tell you I
mhm.
will be here 24/7, and again, I'm 20. I don't know, 5 years old, 27 years old at the time. Like this is, and I'm at ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. And I say, I know I'm supposed to tell you I'm supposed to be here for you 24/7. I won't be. I
Mhm,
will go home so that I can do pottery and work out and see friends and get a light in my eye so that I
mhm.
can come back the next day and give you that light.
Yeah.
Not what they tell you you're supposed to say to a potential boss.
But
Um,
how did that serve you though? Because you
oh,
talk about, you knew that this, not being the president wasn't going to serve you,
yeah.
but how did that conversation serve you well?
It set me up for a expectation setting. Like, again, so much
Yes.
of the pressure that we're putting on, it's not someone saying, it's us. It's
Yes.
our interpretation of the conversation. I assume you want me to be here 24/7. Doesn't every boss want you to be here for 24/7? So in order for you to do that, I had a wonderful woman working with me at ESPN, Jess Doherty, incredible, phenomenal, uh, go-getter. Friday night, I'm saying goodnight to her. It's 6:15. I say, go home. And she
Mm.
says, oh, I don't like to go home until my inbox is cleared. And I said, okay, we work with people on the West Coast. They
Right.
aren't gonna stop doing their job just because it's 5 o'clock, past 5 o'clock here. I'm your boss, right? I'm your boss. And she said, yes. And I said, you're no longer allowed to do that. I no longer allow you to have that as one of your goals, expectations. I will be pissed. I will hold it against you if
Mm.
you stay until your inbox is cleared.
What's so powerful about that? You know, if I step back in my leadership lens, like watching that story take place, is that it is an excellent example of expectations. As you said, like we make assumptions about things, we talk, and
Mhm.
expectations are spoken. We say them out loud with your out loud
Right,
voice. They are agreed upon. So she probably was like, okay, like she had to respond and
mhm,
agree to that.
mhm.
And they're reasonable and resourced.
Correct,
That's a reasonable
correct,
expectation. It's
correct.
unreasonable to say your inbox, if you've got one person who's on the West Coast who's 3 hours behind you and they're working late because they came in at 10 today, their
Right,
time, that's
right,
unreasonable. And so
right.
that's what's so powerful about that is that we can, as leaders, set expectations and help others set expectations
Yeah,
because they are spoken and agreed upon, reasonable and resourced. It's just,
correct.
I love that story. It's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good. One of the things I want to come back to a little bit of when you were talking about, you knew that happy and healthy is
Mhm.
really this primary
Yeah,
focus of that. And I think happy and healthy are components of joy, like they, in a
totally.
holistic sense.
Yes.
And I mean, I have a whole thing about the difference between happy and joy, but those two things go together. And I was working with a small group of leaders recently, and we had taken a break and we were walking the streets. Like we were in a city, and so we're walking and headed to dinner. Um, and one of the leaders is really dreaming about some of their goals, and they are doing two things that can be compatible but still compete. And
Mhm.
I think we all have those kinds of moments where I want two things. I can make them compatible, but they still compete. And she was saying something, and I said, one of the things I always encourage, and I do this for myself, is that I add to the end of any intention or any goal with ease and joy.
Mm,
Whatever this is, I want to do it with ease and joy. And if I can't do it with ease and joy, that doesn't mean I can't suffer through difficulty. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be persevere.
right.
But if this goal cannot be achieved with ease and joy, I know that I won't achieve that goal, or I have decided that is not worth the effort if I have to sacrifice that element of joy in my life.
Mhm, mhm.
So when you are thinking about high performers, because high performers are often praised for that endurance, sticking to
Push.
the end, I'm staying,
You
push,
it
all of
was
that.
awful. We should pay you triple.
Right. But they don't. So at what point does endurance start
Yeah,
to become self-betrayal?
yeah. That's such a great question. It's so funny too what you're saying in terms of asking yourself the question of, what with ease and joy?
Joy, ease
Yeah,
and
okay.
joy. Mhm.
Um, we all know even before we ask ourselves the question when the answer to that is no.
Mm.
We know. We
Mhm.
know. We know that.
I
Um,
think for me, I feel it somewhere, and I want
correct,
to
correct,
deny that I feel it
correct,
somewhere. I'm
correct,
like, "Oh, I
correct.
don't want it to be that."
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I'm sure it's not that bad. I'm sure I can
Yeah.
get through. I'm sure ah. Um, it's that moment. It's that
Mhm.
tickle. It's that, you know, w it's so fascinating because, again, uh, we all have energy, we all have paths, like, it's inside what is inside of us is amazing.
Mhm.
We hear so many other voices. We hear that inner critic inside our head, mine is named Blanche.
I love
She's
it.
horrible. Um,
I always recommend naming them. That's so,
it's
so good.
it changes the dynamic completely.
Mhm.
Completely, as soon as I named her. And by the way, she still keeps coming up, like, even
Oh, yeah.
after
She doesn't
you know
leave.
right, right. I wrote the book on all of this. Blanche still comes up. But it's that tickle moment. It's that, "Huh, I have to now ask myself the question of, is this giving me ease and joy?" Um, and I'm asking myself the question with my brow furrowed and my body a little bit clenched. Huh, I wonder if those are signs.
Mhm.
Maybe, maybe I should listen to this. Um,
Mhm.
it starts, but then to the fact that you're doing this podcast, the fact that you and I have written these books, the fact, what are we surrounding ourselves with to feed the knowledge of what actually is right? And to
Mhm.
say thank you, no, or to say thank you, I need more support, or I
Mhm.
need to do this in a different way. Back to ESPN being a pressure cooker. I remember being told, and so fascinating because obviously ESPN the phone did not become a major hit. None of us have it in our bags or pants pockets right now. Um, being told I was going to sell this at a huge event I had created at Disney World. Told, you will. Now, no ease, no joy at that moment at all.
Mhm.
Huh. Okay, recognize it. Can't this is one I'm going to have to do. How am I going to play?
Mhm.
What am I going to
Yes.
do? How do I change the expectation? I hear you. I hear that I have to do this. I am going to do this. I'm going to raise the expectation of no one is going to purchase this thing at Disney World. Just so we're clear. But I hear you.
Mhm.
And I reached out to someone and we brought in the wheel of crap. So the wheel of crap is a wheel you spin and it's got all of those, little pies on it, and you win a tattoo, and temporary tattoo, and you
Uh-huh. Oh,
a bookmark, and you win a hat, and and people
yes.
would stand in line to spin the wheel of crap.
Uh-huh.
And while they were standing in line, I could talk to them about the phone. And that was a way to do it, but it was a way to do it. Like, I recognized the moment. No ease, no joy.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
how do I reset expectations, acknowledge, but then I'm gonna come at it with who I am,
Yes.
which is ease and joy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
literally remember walking the president of ESPN around, and he was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's the wheel of crap." And he looks at me and he's like, "Heather," and I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm not telling anyone who's standing in the line that that's what they're doing." Um, but he recognized that I brought that
Mhm.
to the situation.
And that's what's so powerful. Like, I want to pull out a couple things that you said that I want leaders, those of you listening, to grab. One of them is this idea of with ease and joy. That doesn't mean it's all easy. It's how can I shift it to be with ease and joy. Like, the process changes. The how is what I can control. Sometimes I can't always control the what. I can't always control the goal, but the how I approach it, that I can always do. And I think
Yes.
that's so powerful with what you did. And the other part is that that's who I am, and you have to know yourself to bring that in. And that brings me to this concept of you are enough. Now, sometimes we hear this and we're like, enough is like roll your eyes, or even terrifying language in leadership culture. Like, people
Yep.
get real scared of it. So I want to help people, like, pull at that thread a little bit.
Yeah.
What are we afraid of?
Yeah.
What are leaders' fear is going to happen if
Yeah.
they stop over striving and overworking and are enough? What are we
Right.
afraid of?
Two things, I think. Number one, this idea of good. Uh, we've maligned it.
Yes.
We've maligned good and we've maligned enough.
Hmm.
Originally, I was going to call my book "Good Period Enough."
Mm.
Period. And I was afraid if we miss punctuation, you miss the whole thing, and then it's good enough, and then it's like, fine, it's good
Yeah.
enough. No, 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 no.
Mhm.
Good is actually incredible. Like somewhere along the line, bees became bad. Bees are not bad. That I actually overheard two undergrads at NYU the other day at a coffee shop saying, like, but isn't C supposed to be average and D is failing? So why I got a B? Like, isn't and I literally said, I'm so sorry, I'm totally listening. Here is a bookmark from my book. You're it. You are right. Um, so
Mhm.
so there's some language stuff here.
Mhm.
We have definitely um, maligned the language,
Yep.
and um, the second piece to it, I think, is also we are using metrics that are
Mm.
stupid metrics.
Oh my gosh, say it again
So,
because
so metric, yeah. So again, back to Jess, who I absolutely adore. Her metric being my inbox has to be empty.
Mhm.
I'm your boss, I'm not impressed. Doesn't mean anything's been taken care of. I actually worked with another woman years ago, and I remember trying to understand her. And at one point she said, "Well, they told me they can't do it. I gotta know. So I'm really happy." I'm like, "Wait, no, no, you gotta know." She's like, "Right. So I know the answer, and the answer is no." And so,
Mm.
oh, you and I have different metrics. You want it, yes, no, be able to tell your boss this, yes, no, here's where everything. I want good stuff.
Mhm.
We have very different metrics. So I think our metrics, in many ways, again, what you come to your boss, what are you rewarded for, and what are you yelled at about?
Yes.
It is messed up.
So messed up. So messed
So,
up.
so for me to say like, oh, I worked super, super hard and it was really hard. Okay, that doesn't make me think highly of you. Like maybe you should learn
Mhm.
how to not work that hard.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's language and our understanding of what good is, what enough is. Why would you be embarrassed by either of those things?
Mhm.
And the metrics which we are pounding our chest for or being judged by.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I talk about that in Joyosity that our obsession with metrics is part of our problem because there are so many things that we need in our life that can't be measured in a traditional
right,
way,
right,
and or they can be qualitatively measured if we want to, but it can't be the end all be all of
right.
it. There are things that are deeper, bigger, broader than whatever that
Right.
metric is, that decision. And that idea of enough and good is, we have maligned those words. My grandma used to say to me that good enough is good enough, and enough is as good as a feast. If we've got enough, it's as good as a feast.
Right.
And it's such a powerful thought that I have to come back to when I get into like scarcity mindset that leads me into overwork.
Right.
And I have to remind myself of that. And I think there are a lot of leaders that do that. I mean, it's just a human nature. We get scared. And so what do you think leaders are protecting when they say to themselves or to other people, we don't have time to slow down? I don't have time to slow down. What are they protecting?
Yeah, I don't know I don't know if I would say protecting so much as just, um, hiding, you know,
Mm.
or being aware that their inner critic is like our inner critics are real.
Oh,
Um,
very much so.
so I don't know. I think they're having those conversations. They're actively having these conversations, and God forbid you hear my inner critic. Like, what if you start projecting what my inner critic has said? Like, what can you hear
Hmm.
that? Did you
Yeah.
see? Did you see me flinch when Blanche said that? Um, it's this idea of what if they all find out?
Yeah.
I actually am wondering, I'm nervous, I don't know the answers. You know,
Mhm.
how often do leaders get to say, "I'm not sure. I
Which they
don't
should
know."
say, I would love to create a world where that is normalized,
Yes.
because please don't tell me you know when you don't. Like,
Yes. Yes. Okay.
um,
It's a little bit it's not really, but I just think this is a really funny story. I once had a person who I love, awesome, awesome, awesome human being. We were talking just about life in general, and I said, "If there's reincarnation, I'm living my reward life. I
I love
just
that.
I'm living." And he said, "Yeah, that's not how it works." And I said, "Oh, really? You're going to explain to me reincarnation?" And he just went, "Okay, has there ever been a worse example of mansplaining?" And I said, "I don't think so. I think that would be, um,
I mean, maybe not, but this is a good one.
it's a pretty good one." Um, Again, the conversations we're all having,
Mhm.
it's hard to lead, by the way. Again, also,
Oh,
kudos. Kudos to the people who are willing to put themselves out there and say,
yes.
"Welcome." I
Mhm,
hope they say welcome. Again, I've got lots of, leadership qualities. I hope you say welcome. I hope you sing the praises of your team.
mhm.
I hope they know that they can fail.
Mm,
I Again, George Brudenheimer, who was the president of ESPN when I was there, was so he had my back,
mm,
and I knew that. Um, I remember having to go to in another organization and tell a CEO that even though he had said to make something happen, and that should have been enough, in his opinion, that it would just be followed, it didn't happen.
mm, mhm.
I look at that as a learning opportunity. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Why
yeah,
didn't it happen, team? Tell me. Tell me. It's not easy because again, there's also being kind. There's pressure to being a leader. You've got 10,000
absolutely.
people reporting to you.
Mm,
Like that's pressure. I get
yeah,
it. Um, It'll be a little less if you can let other people in.
yeah, absolutely. So I would love a little bit of a nugget of, now what do I do? Like, how
Yeah.
do I do this? What is a phrase, a sentence, a word, or something like that that leaders say to themselves that sounds reasonable? Like our cultural overstories say it, or whatever it is. It sounds reasonable that Blanche comes up with when
Mhm.
she's not being abusive, but it's actually really corrosive, and it really hits
Yes.
you as a leader, and so they can go, oh, that's the thing I need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
What's something that we hear inside our minds about that?
So so when you were talking, 2 different ways of coming at that came to my mind. I
Um,
wasn't sure where the question exactly was gonna go. So the this idea of, like, when it's negative,
mhm,
I go to name that inner critic, man. Name it
mm,
quickly, because I have a completely different relationship now that I can say, "Oh, Blanche is talking to
mhm,
me. Hi, Blanche." And I talk oh,
mhm,
I am I give it to her right back. "Oh, Blanche.
mhm.
Hi. Hi. I'm gonna talk to you as patronizingly as you talk to me. Hello, Blanche." Or, "You here, Blanche?" Um, that alone doesn't stop her from coming, doesn't stop her from talking, doesn't stop me sometimes from listening, but it changes the dynamic
Mhm.
completely. When I recognize it's Blanche, I think, "Oh, Blanche is here. I should probably be doing the opposite or feeling the opposite of whatever is in my head." Blanche recently popped up very quickly. I'm talking with someone who's read my book, and they said, "Oh, your book was so easy to read." And Blanche said, "See, I told you you're stupid. I told you.
Mhm. Yeah.
You didn't have enough data points in there. I told you you should have put more science in there. It's
Mhm.
so easy to read." That's what happened.
Yeah.
And then I thought, "Blanche, shut up. Look at her face. Look at her smiling."
Yeah.
She's not saying I'm stupid. She's saying it was accessible. She's
Yeah.
saying she could feel herself. And you shut up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
my biggest suggestion to leaders: name that critic.
I love it.
Have a relationship with that critic. Recognize that that critic exists. What I also thought you might have been going to in terms of positive,
Mm.
um, I go to my grandfather, Joseph Campbell, who is not the Joseph Campbell, but Joseph Campbell. Um, he used to say, "Way to go." I can still hear him
Mm.
with the Wisconsin accent. "Way to go. Oh,
Way to
way to go."
go.
Um, I say that to myself.
Mhm.
Like I give that to myself. And luckily,
It's really
I also
good.
surround myself with people like you. Like having this conversation feeds me. Being right,
Mm.
you are making me feel seen, heard, and celebrated. You are giving me that. I interpret this conversation as a way to go, Heather. But are you giving yourself the positive phrases too?
Yeah.
I probably not as much as I should, but often give myself way to go,
Yeah.
way to go.
One of the things, a practice that I continue to expand is, I think the way I want to describe it is, I had a friend years ago who is a psychologist, and her name's Dr. Karen Dahl, and she is amazing. And she talks about your own personal book of awesome, and
Mm,
uh, and and talking about how do we counteract our human negativity bias that at one point kept us safe in the world, but also leads us down really dark paths and to
mhm,
believing that good is not enough.
mhm,
And I started recording just little wins along the way. And then I had another coach that every week we looked back and we did what I call wins and wisdom. Like, here are the things that were the wins, here are the things that I learned. So wins
mhm.
and wisdom. And this year I've started to keep track of not just the wins, not just the way to goes, but what I'm calling the glimmers. Like, if
Mm,
the glimmers and the
mm.
triggers, those two psychological
Yeah,
terms, but the glimmers are the good things that have gone well. And so I'm building a wall. I wish I could take my camera over and show you, but I'm building a wall of them because I think so much it's so easy to slip back and listen to Blanche. It's just so
correct.
easy. I mean, it is our human nature slide. And so that is where some of that hard work comes from, is counteracting that, because you can't, when I have a keynote on rewriting the soundtrack, and you have to replace it. You can't just say, I'm not going to think that anymore. I'm not going to listen to you,
Right,
Blanche. That
right,
doesn't work. You
right.
have to replace it. And so that's been one of the practices I've been expanding. So I love your grandpa's way to go
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
And
Nice,
how can
nice
you
Wisconsin accent you just
expand
did,
it?
by the way. You
Well,
just did
thank
a
you.
nice
Thank you very
Wisconsin.
much.
Yeah, nice
My
job.
kids go to camp in Wisconsin every year, up in the Northwoods, and so I've spent a lot of time in Wisconsin. And one of my dear friends and coaches lives in Minnesota, and
Mhm.
she does a great tour to the northern Midwest accents, which I love.
Yes,
But
yes.
that, I think we've got to find those voices that is the work. Not so
Yeah,
much overachieving and making sure you're at inbox zero, although I am a fan of inbox zero.
yeah,
It is more important to speak the
yeah,
words, because words create worlds.
right.
And I think that's so powerful.
What you've also just talked about, again, we're here talking to leaders, like high leaders. We want to give you inspiration and action steps and entertainment. That's what this is all about. What you just talked about in terms of, creating this wall of wins. Um, Again, go look at, I don't have the study to point to, but there's data about what we see and how it affects us, what we surround ourselves with, environment.
Mhm.
There is a study I know of, patients who are in a hospital who can see a tree, they recover faster. Like, our
Mhm.
environment affects us.
Absolutely.
You think about leaders and the environments that they create. Go into a leadership office. If they can win an Emmy, there's going to be an Emmy.
Mhm.
They can win lots of them, there are gonna be lots of them. If they can win an Oscar, there's going to be and the trophies that we surround ourselves with are what remind us what we're trying to get and do.
Mhm.
Similar to you, I have a wall over here that you can't see that has notes to me, handwritten cards.
Mm.
One of the things, again, within my book, I talk about, can you name 3 things that make you happy? Small things. Can you name them?
Yeah.
Can you number 2, do you do them? Number 3, do you celebrate them? So one of the
Yeah.
things that makes me happy is connection. And so to move that connection forward, every Friday I write a letter.
I
Not
love
a
that.
birthday card, not a thank you card, just a I thought of you card. And I have a list of yeah, oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
these are the postcards. And
Yes.
again, you and I can also, the fact that we can just read them, here are the mostly from Trader Joe's other cards. Um, so I've surrounded myself. These are my trophies.
Mhm.
The letter from Mitch Rosen, Heather, thanks for the awesome card. So great to get the awesome card from you. I miss you. Always loved working with you. Let's catch up soon, Mitch.
Yeah.
Not Heather, you made us $1 million. Not Heather, just connection.
Mhm.
That's
Absolutely.
it. That's my win.
I love it. And I mean, I know that we are not quoting the studies. Some people have lovingly teased me about the size of my book of Joyosity.
Mhm.
Uh, and I remind them that at least 30 pages are citations. And because there are so many studies that
Yes.
demonstrate the power of this concept of
Yes.
reminding ourselves what is true and through a clearer lens, because our lens is going to be
Right.
Blanche
Right.
and Bertha and
Right.
those difficult ones. Oh my gosh, Heather, I want to keep talking to you so badly, but we really need to wrap up our conversation. So could you please tell the people how they can connect with you? What's a great
Yep.
next step? The QR
Yep.
code to your book, Good is
Yep.
Amazing, is right there. But tell us how we can keep track
Yes.
with you.
So if you go to my website, heathercampbell.com, there's some information there. You can fill out a form. My email is there. Very easy to connect with me. I'm doing similar to you. In order for people to have these messages in their heads and their hearts, the book needs to be in their hand. They
Mhm.
need to hear me speaking. I'm doing keynotes. I'm doing workshops. You can get a hold of me. We can talk about what makes sense for you. The parties have been phenomenal. Again, just having people talk about their stories. I'm very adamant that while the stories in my book are about me, it's not about me.
Mhm.
I don't need you to remember like, oh, who did you sing with and what happened? And no. What about you?
Mhm.
What were did you have a moment of, I don't feel like this is right? Like if your
Yeah.
mother asks you to become president of the United States. What did that feel like to you? Who is
Mhm.
your inner critic? We all have them. I joke in the book, I'm sure the Dalai Lama has one on bad days. I would love
Absolutely.
to hear the Dalai Lama's inner critic.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sure it's like, you're kind of bad. Um, but how do we take those actions?
Mhm.
So yes, I
Yeah.
would love to hear from people. heathercampbell.com.
I love it. Well, as listeners, I would love to hear what this conversation stirred up for you. What like hit you upside the head? What really like made you inhale? What are you still thinking about? And I would challenge you because there is so much power in getting it outside of yourself and telling somebody. If you want to post about it, tag Heather and me always, you could, if that feels too vulnerable, send me an email, Jenn with 2 N's at jennwhitmer.com. You can send me a DM, LinkedIn and Instagram are where I play the most. All of this, of course, will be in the show notes, of course, with all of Heather's information as well. And I'm so grateful for you to take time out of your day, that you would listen to us. But what I am also grateful for is that you are learning for yourself, and that becoming that favorite self and a better leader that's centered around joy and what you can, how you can just be enough. I love that you are taking the time to think about that. And as you head back into your day, here's my invitation for you, because I got to put my coach hat on. What is one tiny thing that you can try? What can you experiment and play with today? What's an intentional thought, process, or action you can take? Because joy isn't about becoming somebody new. Joy at work isn't about changing and overhauling your life. It's about staying connected to who you already are, and knowing, as Heather is reminding us, that you are enough and good is amazing. And so if this episode was helpful, please share it with another leader who's carrying a lot right now. And if you were thinking about them, just hit send. Rating and subscribing to the show, booking Heather, booking me to come in and speak helps us spread this message, because this is a movement of people who believe that joy can be the center of what we do, and it's not extra, and it's part of how we live as humans in the world. And so I am so grateful, Heather, for you being here today. Thank you so much, and thank you for all of you who joined us. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody. See you next week.